It is currently Saturday, August the 6th, 2022, and it's about quarter to 9 a.m. So I just finished a full week of work after having COVID, and I forgot to mention this in the other video, but I think this time off that I've had for COVID is the first sick leave I have taken in, well, ever. I don't think I've ever taken sick leave in residency, fellowship, and in all my years in practice. Yeah, it's the first time that I've been sick enough that I've had to take sick leave. All right, so with regards to COVID, I'm actually doing a lot better. I still have a cough, but the sore throat is largely gone, and obviously I don't have any fevers or myalgias or anything like that. I'm still wearing a mask. I've actually been wearing an N95 mask even in the OR, just to kind of minimize the risk to other staff. So yeah, but well on my way to recovery. I am on call today. I should say this whole weekend. So I'm not recording this on my phone because this is my pager. I'm using the Sony RX0 Mark II. And yeah, when I'm on call, I mostly just stick around at home because I can't go anywhere or do anything. And so I'll probably just be like doing work and stuff. I figured that I would, do a little bit of logging again. It's been a little while. As it so happens, wife and kids are away. So yeah, I'll just talk to a camera instead. All right, so Charlotte got this print. I guess it's a print a little while ago. And she was visiting family, and it's just been sitting on the floor for the past few weeks. Weeks, maybe months now. I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing it on the floor. I think I'm going to put it up. It's a big empty spot on that wall. So, thinking maybe I'll put it there. I've always been very hesitant about putting up pictures on the wall. It has to do with my upbringing, I think. I grew up in rental properties, and we didn't want to damage the walls. And then even when we owned our own places, my family never put anything up on the walls. Again, I think just because they don't want to damage anything, in case they needed to sell, And, when I got my own place for the first time back in Ottawa, again, nothing on the walls. And then, we've had a couple places here in the States, and again, I have not put anything up on the wall, but Charlotte has. I think I'm gonna get over that hump now. I'm gonna get past that mindset and actually put some nails up and holes in the wall so that I can hang up artwork and photos. Let's start with these guys today. All right, so there it is. It's up. I feel like we need something here too. But anyway, that's a start. I think it looks okay. Whatever. It's just one hole in the wall, tiny hole. All right, I'm going to start some work now, I got this salivary gland study that I'm participating in, so I think I'll put in some work on that right now. For these vlogs, I want to use these to kind of talk about significant events, world events, and speak my mind, my thoughts on these things, because I don't know, this is the stuff that's like interesting to me. It may be divisive and it may not get the views, right? Product videos tend to get lots of views. For example, like my silly little video on the Shun knife, that's like one of my best performing videos. I get so many views on that. But the thing is, like, those types of videos are actually ultimately very uninteresting to me. Like I get interested in a certain product, right? And I want to talk about it, I want to review it, but then like after I make that video, if I ever get around to making the video, I'm like, I have no interest in looking at that video ever again, or talking about that particular product. So even those are like the videos that get the most views. They're just ultimately very uninteresting for me as a creator. I don't know. I have mad respect for all these YouTubers that do reviews. I really like Marques Brownlee. I like Potato Jet. I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting. Because the thing is, I'm clearly guilty of also watching these review videos. As a sort of responsible consumer, if you want to call it that. I want to know what I'm getting, with my money, and not have any surprises, and just want to, get good value. And so, I'm definitely guilty of, watching a whole bunch of review videos. But, I bet they feel the same way, like you spend your life talking about other people's products, and ultimately, is your life enriched by it? I don't know that it is. You can see it as helping other people make informed purchasing decisions, but ultimately, for you yourself as the creator, like, how significant is any of these things to your life? Not very. Yeah, I don't know, I find myself wanting to talk about camera gear and stuff, but I get all these ideas that like rush into my head, and then by the time I have any time to actually talk about them and make a video, I kind of lose interest. And part of that is just because I really don't have very much time. I have very, very, very little time. And whatever time I do have free, I either want to just like rest and take a break, or spend time with family and baby. Don't want to participate in this very solitary endeavor, right, of shooting and editing videos. By the time I do get around to making videos, I'm like, ugh, it's so boring. I don't want to think about it or talk about it anymore. A perfect example is that lens that I got. Right, so I got a 55 to 300 birding lens, and I've been using it to shoot a bunch of bird photos. I think I've shot. I'm not quite sure, but I want to say somewhere on the order of 5 to 10 gigs worth of bird photos. And I had this sort of plan to talk about that lens, but like, I've had that lens for a few months now, and like, kind of lost interest. I don't really want to talk about it. I should, though. I really should talk about it, because once in a while, When I do get back to shooting bird photos, I'm like, yeah, this stuff is really interesting. I do want to talk about it, but then, yeah, like I said, by the time I get some kind of semblance of time to talk about it, I've lost interest. So anyway, amongst other things I want to talk about, The Wire. I've recently started watching The Wire. So yeah, I have all these thoughts about it. I want to talk about it, in front of a camera, but I just don't have time, and so I'm sure by the time I do get around to doing it, I've lost some interest. Oh crap! There's a hummingbird. Oh shoot! It flew away. I didn't have any sugar water for it. Oh. Yeah, my bird feeder is kind of in a state of disrepair. I just been too busy to look after it. Maybe I'll go take care of it today, since I'm home anyway, on call. Oh man, hummingbirds are a rare sighting around here. I just caught it. What else? I had an SD card failure in my camera recently, the one that was in my A6400, which is terrible because I took a bunch of pictures when my sister visited, and so all those pictures are gone. Now, thankfully, I did take some pictures using my iPhone, so those pictures are still, here. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I've lost a bunch of pictures. And the other thing is, I actually took that opportunity, when my sister visited, to take that 55-300 lens to the aviary and do some bird photography there. So something I've been wanting to do for a while since I've had that lens, but just never gotten around to it, right? So I went to the aviary, I shot a bunch of pictures. All those pictures are gone because the SD card failed. Yeah, it's the first time that's happened to me, and yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. Now, thankfully, it's not like for a professional gig, right? I think if you had an SD card failure shooting a wedding, like, you are fucked. You are, like, that's your business down the drain. You get a reputation for losing a wedding. I don't think you're gonna book any more gigs after that. So it's not that kind of level of bad, but I lost pictures of my sister visiting, and there were plenty of sort of random photos of my baby on there that are all gone. But again, thankfully, I did take pictures of my sister visiting on my phone, and we have, believe me, plenty of pictures of my baby on my phone. But just like the few sort of nice photos I shot with a proper camera, those ones are gone. I'm not sure what happened, because it didn't fail in the camera. What I did was I took the SD card out and I put it into an adapter, and then into my iPad, and I couldn't access those photos, and for the life of me couldn't access on my iPad. I tried putting it on, connecting the adapter to my phone. I couldn't get it to open on my phone, and then I plugged it into my computer, and the computer said, there's some kind of error on this card, and you had to format it. So I tried all kinds of things. I tried different other adapters, but I think by that point the card was already corrupted, and I had no choice but to format it. And so I'm not sure exactly what happened. I stuck the card back in the camera. The camera couldn't read it. So yeah, my feeling is that it's the adapter, because I got like some off-brand adapter off Amazon, and I've been having some problems with that adapter lately. Not to this degree. Mostly just like I plug it into my iPad and it doesn't read, and I have to like try the micro SD card slot, and it might work there. So I've been having some problems with that adapter, and this is the last straw. I don't think I'm going to use it anymore. I like literally that night I ordered the official Apple SD card reader, And so I just got it, and so I'll use that, and hopefully I don't run into any more of those problems. The other thing I will say, and I know this is going to be a very divisive topic, but this is my channel. It's my vlog. And like I said, I want to talk about things that matter to me. And so back in February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, and I was incredibly I was filled with a sense of sadness, and it was just very depressed. And I found myself doing what I call doom scrolling, right? I'm just scrolling Twitter constantly, looking for updates and just making sure things don't escalate, and that there isn't some kind of global disaster going on. I'm just like constantly scrolling, constantly refreshing my phone, and it was sad. It was just a very it's a very shitty situation, and scrolling Twitter certainly didn't help. Like I was looking for every piece of news that I could get as quickly as possible, right? But the problem with Twitter is that most of it isn't news. Most of it is just people, maybe even fake accounts, just saying things. And but the thing is, that stuff comes at a rate that I was looking for, in that situation. A developing war is happening, and I just feel this need to be constantly up to date about what's happening. And the Twitter provides you something to read with that kind of rapidity, minute to minute changes. But the problem is it's coming from random ass people. Probably most of them sitting in their living room, or probably a lot of them are just fake accounts. And is any of that news? No, because none of these people are over there seeing what's happening and then telling you what's happening. No, most of them are either just reading some shit on the internet, other people's shit, conspiracy theories, and then just saying it, parroting it, and then none of it is portrayed as opinion or stuff like that. It's just being fed to you like news, and then of course there's some entertainment aspect to it. A lot of people are on there trying to make jokes and trying to get a laugh out of people because they know that that's the kind of stuff that gets their tweet a like, right? And so it's you usually get very insensitive comments being made, and just a lot of noise that may or may not be true or reflect reality. And so it was a depressing hole to go down, man. I was doing doom scrolling and just getting really depressed at the state of humanity. Man, I actually recorded a video at that time, just being in the depths of despair and just wanting to say something. I never made it public, but I did record a video about that. And finally, now I'm feeling like I should say something about that, because recently another event happened, right? Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, and there's all this posturing from China, and so now I'm finding myself doom scrolling about that. It's the same kind of thing, a lot of people saying shit. Maybe some of them are fake accounts, but certainly a lot of them are just armchair, historians, armchair political analysts, just saying shit. Nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people are tweeting that are actually in the know about the situation, right? In the air, on the ground, whatever. So I just find myself doom scrolling and just getting depressed again at this sort of state of affairs and just the state of humanity. Where am I going with this? I'm not going to talk about that U.S. Taiwan China relation, that could be its own video, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about that now. We'll see if I ever get around to talking about that in a separate video, but I do want to say something about Twitter and doom scrolling. Twitter is awful. I've not had Twitter for a very long time. I've probably only had Twitter for the last couple of years. And I think about my relationship with Twitter, because I think some of it can be for good, right? Like I think that when I use it professionally, in my professional capacity, I think there's some good that can come from that. But like for a lot of other things, it's not good. It's just not good. Actually, one of the things I like about Twitter was for sports, right? Like, getting up to date on like basketball or hockey scores. That's good. And you're shooting the shit about what's happening around teams and like whatever. Like that's all fine. It's all good fun. Like who cares, right? But then when it comes to anything serious, right? Like news stuff, like it's the worst. It's the worst place to be getting your news from. It's most of it is not news. Like I said, it's just people talking. And a lot of it, I'm sure, are bots, fake accounts. There's a lot of misinformation, and you're also exposed a lot to like the worst of humanity, saying like the worst things, either because they're part of some conspiracy theory, or because they're just trying to get some likes and stuff. Like controversial hot takes tend to get the engagement, right? And I find that it just makes me depressed because I feel like humanity's going down the shitter. So it's just the worst place. And I ask myself, like, why? At what point did I start turning to Twitter for news? And because the thing is that the truth is, for a long time, I would look at I would get my news from like Apple News, right? There's an app on your phone that's Apple News, right? It used to be. I remember I would like be at work and if I'm on lunch break, having my lunch, I would scroll Apple News, and then before that it was Google News, right? Like I always had some kind of actual like news outlet that I'm looking at, news app or just frankly newspapers or news websites. And then but at some point I switched to Twitter to look at news, and it's just terrible. I think the reason is because, like I said earlier, Twitter updates very quickly because people only have to write tiny little short sound bites, and it can come from just all kinds of random people. So there's a lot of it, and there's a little bit of entertainment value to that too, and but it's just absolutely terrible. And I was thinking like, well, why have I moved away from Apple News? Well, I know why it is. It's because it used to be that just about everything on Apple News you can tap and read. But now so much of it is hidden behind paywalls, right? You have to have like the Apple News Plus or whatever, or you have to get a specific subscription to various news, New York Times, or things like that, like specific news companies. I think that's a huge downfall to all of this. Like I get that news companies need to make money. They need to have a business strategy, right? But it used to be that news was fairly accessible, for free. And so I would rely on these like news sources that had some kind of journalistic integrity. But now, because of this sort of need to monetize, right? For better or for worse, I get it. You need to pay journalists, but like because of all this monetization, it really does push people away from proper journalistic sites to like shit, which is Twitter. I think that's a major downfall, man. Apple, I think, you of all companies tend to err on the side of not being evil, right? So I think you need to address this, man. Allowing news to be hidden behind paywalls is actually damaging to society, right? Like a very important cornerstone for democracy is free press. Free press, meaning the press can talk about what is real without fear of political persecution. But free press also means that it needs to get to the people, right? And hiding it behind a paywall is unfortunately very damaging to a free democratic society. It tends to result in a public that is very poorly informed, poorly educated, and then these people will get their information from conspiracy sites and things, and just non-reliable sources, and then you have the problem that we have right now in this society. So Apple, I don't know what the solution is because things don't work without money, but you got to do something about this, man. Having this Apple News Plus thing, it's hurting the society, and then all the news companies too. Like you guys had to think of some other way of monetization, because it's not just about entertainment, right? I feel like if you are an honest to goodness news website, you have a duty to society to educate them, right? And build trust too, right? That's another big problem. It isn't just a paywall, right? It's part of it is also trust. I think the way that media has handled themselves has eroded public trust. So you guys have to look in deep within yourself and see how to fix that. Interestingly, I had thoughts about this in another area, which is science. Science overall has had a net positive effect on society, right? Certainly, science has led to very destructive things, but as a whole, it has led to improvements in quality of life, safety, and there's all kinds of good things on average for humanity, right? Like all of us are living longer, living healthier. We have access to information more than ever. Like science as a whole has been doing great things for humanity. But unfortunately, science has a very, very bad public relations image, right? You look at movies and TV shows and stories like it. It's always a mad scientist who is the nemesis, right? That's very bad. That's bad for society, to constantly have science and scientists being seen as the enemy, or being evil. Video games too, right? Like so many video games have evil scientists opening portals to hell, like in Doom or Half-Life, and it's bad PR. It's bad PR, even though you might say, well, I mean, like. People know the difference. People know that that's just entertainment. But no, I honestly think that if it's not pervasive in your culture that science is always the source of evil, there's definitely a negative effect there, right? Like lots of kids, these days, like they don't like science, they don't like math, It's seen as this sort of shitty thing that they have to do in school. Man, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. So then we're seeing we're seeing the negative effect of all that right now. Like there's a whole bunch of mistrust in the medical field, in vaccines and shit like that like really shouldn't exist. Back in the day when there wasn't this much mistrust of science in media, in the arts, people were a lot more cooperative, right? We had very good success with stamping out plagues and smallpox and all kinds of crap. But nowadays we can't work together to stamp out COVID, right? It's like it's terrible. There's this terrible mistrust in science because science is bad PR, and so I think I think science needs communicators, man. They need good communicators. We can't have bumbling, we can't just have smart scientists up there talking and representing science because that's not enough. We need to have people who can talk about it well. We need good science communicators to inspire trust in science in sort of the new generation. So having charismatic people like Emily Calandrelli, just as an example, I think is very important. I want to point out that the U.S. military actually has people working in Hollywood to ensure that the military gets good PR. You have a machinery of war that invest in their PR and make sure that movies and TV shows and whatever all portray the military in a positive light. Even though I would say in balance, the military. I don't know that it's necessarily been a good thing for humanity as a whole, right? Obviously, defense is a important thing, but let's be real. A lot of wars are being fought for fairly murky reasons, and the military has not always come out peachy and rosy. But the thing is, you have the public opinion of the military is very positive, especially here. And I think part of that has to do with the constant positive PR that they get in Hollywood. But in contrast, you look at science and medicine and all these people that work hard for the improvement of humanity, and but don't have PR people in Hollywood. Hollywood writers who are typically arts people, they get to write whatever they want about science people, and then they always get an unfair shake. They're always portrayed in a very negative light. So this is something that we need to work on, man. We as a society need to inspire trust in the right places. I've talked for long enough, and I'm going to do some work. And hopefully, later on, I can find some time and talk about The Wire or something. And I also want to make a video and talk about a little bit more about that SD card failure, because one of the things I wanted to do was actually to shoot some challenging photos, and those attempts were amongst the photos that I lost when that SD card failed. So hopefully I'll get around to making a video about that.